Hi, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Stream of Consciousness with Dr. B. When I tell you this episode must be really good because it has worn me out to get this going, to say the least. I am not going to tell you, I filmed this whole thing and went back to listen to it only to find out there was no sound to the recording. And it looked like it was so good. And I remember it being so good. But anyway, we're going to move right into the episode this today, I guess we want to say. We are doing the part two installment of Rejection. And if you remember, the topic was rejection is redirection. And we first talked about when it comes to jobs. And now we're going to talk about when it comes to relationships. So I want you to think back and just think for a second how exciting dating can actually be. Um, but understanding that rejection is a real part of that whole process. Take a moment and think back to a time when you've been dating. For those of us who are not married, we're still in that process. If you are married, think back to a time prior to then when you may have been dating and you experienced rejection, and what did that look like for you? What did it make you feel like? How long were you dating the person and then maybe were rejected, or did you go out with them once and then was rejected after the first date? What I need you to understand is that rejection is an inevitable part of life, right? It's an inevitable part of the whole process of dating and getting to know people. And what we have to remember is that it is not personal. That is the mindset we need to be in, that it is not personal. We have to, again, like we did for the jobs, we have to normalize it and understand that everybody goes through it. Even the person that we think is the most attractive, the most, beautiful, has the best body and all that kind of stuff, they also experience rejection. Everybody does not bat a thousand on each time they hit the ball, or every time that somebody does not bat a thousand when it comes to dating and uh getting to know, or not getting to know. They don't bat a thousand when it comes to dating, when with everybody that they encounter. I want to say that, I was getting lost in my thought for a second, but we got to remember that everybody goes through it. It is such a normal part of the process, and everybody experiences it. We have to distinguish that part, the ego of it, versus the reality of it. The ego part is me feeling like, oh, I'm the best person. How could they um, reject me at all? How could they not want me? Versus the reality that we are not everybody's cake. Everybody is not going to be drawn to us 100% of the time. That's the reality. For example, um, I know that you can think about a time when you thought you presented your best possible self and the person did not call you back the next day, or you went out and you had an amazing time. Let's say you went out to eat and you had great conversation. You decided to walk around after you had great conversation. It was like you guys almost didn't want to leave each other, and then the next day you don't hear from the person, and then you reach out to them and they don't respond. You've been ghosted. That is the reality of what happens when you are dating and trying to get to know people. And remember, it has nothing to do with you. You should not necessarily internalize that, but understand that everybody is not going to be attracted. Everybody is not going to feel or see the value in you, but that does not mean that you yourself are not valuable. We have to separate the emotional responses from our self worth. What I mean there is the emotional response to that usually is disappointment. It's sadness. It is, easy to feel like, oh my God, I may be the ugliest person, or oh my God, I may be the heaviest person, oh my God, this person does not want me because of XYZ. The reason that you may have been ghosted or rejected has nothing to do with your self worth. It is common to feel embarrassed, insecure, and sometimes overthink it, going into those thoughts like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. What do I have to change about me in order to get people to accept me? That is not the case. You just have to worry about showing up and being 100% authentically you. And then the person who is for you will see that and they will gravitate to that. What we have to do is reframe the narrative of rejection. The same way we talked about for jobs, we're going to do the same thing when it comes to relationships. When we experience those things, I like to think of it as, just like I said a few moments ago, it's not so much that there is anything wrong with me as long as I have shown up 100% authentic. It is just a matter of the person who I am encountering, dating, or what have you has opted out of that situation. For whatever reason, they feel like they are not a match for you. And that is okay. It's okay to come to those realizations. Like, often we need to make those decisions. Sometimes we tend to hold on and we will go through the process knowing that people are not really for us, that our ideals don't align. But we either are happy that somebody is dating us, or we are waiting to see if they are going to change. 9 times out of 10, people are not going to change. Most people, you start to see who they are. Now, I say you got to be authentic from day one. Some people will show you who they think you want to see, and slowly over time you'll start to see them. They reveal themselves over time. But this is why it's important to show up authentic on the first day, because you want people to be able to make that decision, and you also want to be able to make that decision and say, hey, does this person align with my morals, my values? Are we authentically aligned for each other? One of the things that I like to do is self affirmations. I kind of mentioned it before that I have a mirror in my house that has all of these colored sticky notes on it, and they are reminders of things that I tell myself when I experience certain situations, whether it's with people, in the dating realm, or people in general. There are things we have to constantly talk ourselves through certain things. And I think that is the power of affirmation. So I have it on a mirror because when I go to that mirror and, I'm fixing my clothes or what have you, I can see these things and they become reoccurring thoughts in my mind. And they are reminders not to internalize certain things and not to think so quickly that there's anything wrong with me, but that this was not a good situation for me. As long as I show up authentically and am who I am good. That's the best way that I can tell you. Show up authentically yourself so that you can be good. And then if the person does not accept it, it's absolutely fine. It just means that it was not meant to be. Each rejection really is a learning and growth opportunity. It gives us an opportunity to reflect, to step back and say, did I show up authentically? Did I honor what I really wanted? When I spoke to the person, did I tell them the things that I really wanted, or did I tell them what I thought they wanted to hear? Because that's the trick again. As long as you show up being yourself, you reveal who you are earnestly, they can make the decision whether it be to move forward or not. And that is okay. We don't want to, again, say that there's anything wrong because there's nothing wrong with you. It just means that this was not a situation that aligned. The values, the morals, the characteristics were not in alignment for good relationship. I often like to think, what did I learn from that situation? What did it teach me? That's the importance of stepping back and reflecting. You have to take the time to really think for a second. What did this situation teach me? What can I pull out of this? Is there something that I want to do different moving forward? If you did, let's just say, show up and you started behaving, or you were behaving as a person that you thought the person wanted, and then it didn't work out, moving forward, you don't want to do that. You want to be yourself all of the time. And I know that that is hard because a lot of times we want to be accepted. So, what we do is we do things hoping that people will accept us, or we do things knowing what they're looking for, and we try to become those things so that they will accept us. But in the end, we end up hurting ourselves because, again, over time, we will reveal who we are, same like the other person. If they don't show up authentic the first time, they will over time start to reveal who they are. And rather than knowing who you're dealing with on day one, sometimes you find out who you're dealing with on day 180, and you have spent what, 3 months, 6 months, a year down the line investing into something, not investing authentically in the situation. There are red flags and there are green flags. During those times, like I said, you will encounter things and you will encounter some red flags. During that time, you will encounter green flags. One thing that I like to think about is I don't try not to make snap judgments about people. I like to see what it is that, or who it is that they're really presenting overall. And the one thing that we have to do is pay attention to the red flags. Understand that the red flags are there for a reason. I'm not saying as soon as something pops up, you cut the person off, but you may have to address something to say, hey, I noticed this. Can you tell me a little bit more about this? Or tell me why you think this way. Tell me why you behave this way. Why did this situation bring out that that type of response from you? Get a little more information about what's going on, because red flags are important. Sometimes there are what I say bright red flags. Those are like your things that you say, these are my hard stops. This is something that I cannot deal with. And sometimes there are flags that are like lukewarm red. And that's where you can say, let me get a little more information from the person about why this is, why did um, they present that reaction, and then it'll give you an opportunity to understand them a little bit more and decide whether or not that's a situation you want to be in. But going back to the beginning, even if you do cut it off or they cut it off, we understand that it is a normal part of the whole dating situation that we don't move forward with things, that there is an element of rejection. The main thing that we have to do is learn to move forward in confidence. We have to not internalize these temporary experiences, not pull them onto us and say that, oh, we are worthless, we're no good, things like that. We can't internalize those negatives. This one temporary situation does not predict your entire dating future. You have to learn to build emotional resilience. You have to stay social, engage in hobbies, and talk to your friends. Stay social. Don't retreat and say, oh, I'm just going to sit here in the corner and, oh, I'm depressed. You can't allow yourself to fall into those moments. Again, dating has become very, very difficult. But I think when we reframe the whole process and understand that rejection is a normal part of the process, it becomes less, I guess, depressing in a sense. Like, oh, I've tried to date XY number of people and it hasn't worked. There's an old phrase that said, I kissed 100 frogs to get to this prince. Some of us have only kissed two and we're wondering what's happening. We have a long ways to go. That is just something to prove that the rejection is a normal part of the whole process. We have to have a mind shift. Excuse me, the right person won't reject us. The person that is for us will not reject us. When we experience the rejection, that is exactly what we should be thinking as this person just was not for us, and it is okay. It's okay to move forward. Sometimes we have to feel sad for a moment, but we don't want to stay there. I heard Patti LaBelle say one time, it's okay to get down on your knees, but you don't want to stay down there. You want to get up and keep moving. So, in final words, I would like to say that dating is a journey. It is sometimes a long journey. The rejection is not necessarily a reflection of you and who you are on the inside. Your number one job is to show up authentically so that you are presenting who you really are, and you ask that the other person do the same so that you guys can both make an informed decision. I really hate to think of it like this, but I view a lot of things as transactional. Like, I have to do something, you have to do something in order for us to figure out what we're going to do, right? I come with who I really am, you come with who you really are, and if we are aligned, it's a great thing. But if we are not, that's also okay. It just means that we were not the person for the other. But one thing that we do not want to do is show up thinking we need to be a specific person or way for the other person because we can't maintain that. And that's where down the road, those little things start to fall apart and our true self is revealed. And that's why a lot of times, 6 months down the road, people say, well, I didn't know they were like this, because we hid certain things until later on. We didn't show up authentically in the beginning so that we could present our true self. We presented our what's the word that we said, we presented a mask to the other person. We don't want to do that. We want to present who we authentically are. So in closing, I just want to say, always present your authentic self. The right connection is just around the corner, and it is worth you moving through all of this process to get there, right? It's worth going through the 99 different frogs to get to the one that is perfect for you. So be patient. It does take time. Don't get discouraged. And just remember that rejection is an opportunity for redirection, and that it's important that we just keep a positive mindset when it comes to the whole situation as a whole, because dating is hard these days and it's easy to get depressed, feeling knocked down, but we don't want to stay down and be depressed for too long. We want to stay social, get up, and keep moving. So just remember that rejection is an opportunity for redirection. This has been another installment of Sheer Consciousness with Dr. B. I would love to continue to talk to you. I would love to continue to hear your comments, your questions, your concern. Please feel free to leave them in the comment section. I always go back and review and answer the questions and respond. So I would love to continue to do that. So please leave those in there, and set your notifications so that you get a warning, not a warning, but